Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of the Adventurous podcast.
It's exciting.
Just
Two
right in
whole episodes.
2 whole episodes. So, in this podcast, we're going to be talking about our adventure. And to us, adventure means more than just the good, it's the ups and downs. And Jilisa notified me that she's going to be running the show today.
Yes, I'm running the show today. And I don't usually run the show, so we'll see how this goes.
What does that mean?
Well, I run your show. I don't run the show.
Oh, man. Great way to start.
Well, okay. You didn't know about this until like 10 minutes ago, but I just thought that now would be a great time to actually talk about some more about our experience with my eating disorder and exercise addiction. Not because I think this is a fun thing to talk about, but because
It's a blast.
super blast. No, but because so we're now in the third shutdown of life in Alberta in COVID. And what a lot of people probably don't know, or maybe do know, but don't talk about, is the fact that isolating humans that have addictive tendencies is a really dangerous thing to do. And so
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's likely a lot
No,
of...
wait. Sorry.
What?
Jillian told me that on the
Yeah.
other podcast. I just found it out.
Well, yeah, because it's like, hey, we're just going to take away all your coping strategies. Don't talk to anyone or be with anybody. And then spend all your time just like on screens and
around your significant other.
And triggering other things. So I will preface this by saying I'm fine and I'm good, but other people might not be. And so I think it's a good time to talk about not only just like addictions or even eating disorders or anything like that in general, but I don't think I've ever, well, I probably just haven't dug hard enough, but I don't think I've ever heard a podcast or read much from like the spouse's perspective. Because oftentimes, yeah, that is you. Oftentimes we just want to hear about what the person went through. But as you know, I think you know this.
You're talking to me or them?
No, you. I think you know that these things deeply affect the person.
Super easy.
Yeah.
No problem.
And so I just think it's important to talk about that part too. And maybe that can be helpful for other people to hear your side of it. Or, I mean, I can talk too, but just saying that it's possible to be okay after going through something that hard. But also, like, I don't think people know how much we still struggle with it. And that's not something that we talk about often because it's uncomfortable. And just because I don't suffer anymore doesn't mean that we still don't struggle from things that we went through in that time. Yeah. So why not just
super easy going episode 2? Just
why not? Let's just talk about it because, it seems like the right thing to do. So I am running the show. I even wrote out questions like you asked me to. But before I ask you, in case people don't know my story at all, in like a 60-second version of it, when Matt and I got engaged, I fell into the trap of eating disorder and exercise addiction. And then it just got worse as we got married. Not as we got married, but even after we got married, it did not magically go away, believe it or not. And for like the first 5 years of our marriage, that was pretty much like the center of everything that happened. And now I've been recovered for maybe 4 or 5 years. And we are still recovering. I think I'm recovered, but we aren't. If that's like a sort of fair way of saying it. Yeah.
Sure.
Probably because we haven't put the work in all the time to that because it's hard. But here we go. So, Matt.
Jilisa.
From a husband's perspective, what was it like being married to someone that struggled with an eating disorder or let's just say like an addiction that took me away from you. What was that like?
Well, I think you said it at the end there. I don't know to look at you because I might make it harder to look at you, and I don't want to choke up on camera, so I might look at the screen. But essentially, it was like you were taken away, right? It's like you're around someone, but you're not. They're not there, right? It almost makes it worse, right? You're within arm's reach, but you're not there, and things associated with this in general. I don't know about other ones. I'm sure it is. You probably could chime in on this, but there's manipulation and deceit and dishonesty associated with it too. So as the spouse,
that's not important in marriage.
Yeah,
you don't need to trust each other. It's fine.
So, and I was just of the belief, like I knew you as a person. We knew each other for a long time. Amazing, fantastic person. Like there's no way she would lie to me. There's no way she'll fall into this trap, and I can just trust. And we know that relationships are built on trust. And so that's a really long thing to heal from. Mm-hmm. And to know that, because we often talk about it as, or just more lately, we're in the process of going through more as a couple, that it's not just the exercise or the eating disorder. Like it's not, like triggers aren't just associated with that. It's also associated with things that I don't know if
it was like my character.
Yes. Yeah. And that's a hard thing to explain. It's this, that's scary in itself. Like seeing you lose weight, see you close to maybe not being here is very scary. It's physically very scary. But there's also the aspect that has nothing to do with, it does, but it doesn't have anything to do with eating disorder. It has everything to do with not knowing this person.
Yeah. It changes a person's character, which makes it hard, I think, for a spouse to know what to do or understand. Because like I'm sure you would agree, a completely different person than the person that you dated or person that you thought you were marrying.
Yeah. So as we were engaged, I was living in Bradcrest at college, and I could start to see personality traits changing. Like you're upbeat, you always want to do things, but all of a sudden you didn't want to do anything. You were tired. Little things start to change. And at the time, like I'm sometimes to a fault, I'm very observant. And that's been another thing in our marriage, is that
so annoying.
I can notice things even without seeing Jalisa's face. And I've had to learn to not all the time ask what's wrong, because that's a whole different story. But yeah, I slowly start to see changes. And then the last time I came home, just before I got married, it was like an abrupt change. It was not just physically seeing, but this idol, like this thing that totally defined who you were. And it felt like, it started to feel as if it wasn't the wedding anymore. It was you looking the certain way and wanting to be in your dress and look good, and you had to get it hemmed in. Is that what you say?
Well,
tailored?
Sure. Altered.
Altered. Your dress altered like 3 or 4 times, right? And that's a scary thing.
Poor lady.
Poor lady.
Yeah. 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 So it was really easy, is what you were saying.
Yeah. And then also to say, and to say that this was new to me. Like marriage is new. So I'm learning how to be a husband, and I'm also learning how to be around someone who's extremely addicted to something. How do you do that? How do you do that? Yeah.
How did you do that?
Some good, some bad.
You did good.
I don't know.
I don't know actually how you did that.
Lots of prayer.
Yeah.
Lots of prayer, lots of frustration, lots of patience. It was a realization that I couldn't do anything. like at a certain point, I couldn't do anything but just love you no matter what. And what I mean by that is I wouldn't be super energetic or happy. I think we confuse that sometimes for love.
Mhm.
I just was committed to being there.
You stuck it out.
Yep.
When did you know that, like, when did it click that there was nothing that you could do to change me?
I don't know if there's an instant. Um, I still don't know. Like, that's a funny thing thinking back. I don't, and you probably don't know either, like the exact day it happened.
I do actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
When was the exact day?
It was after we had got engaged, and oh wait, like that I decided like that I was gonna, like when I got sick
Like
or
when
when I
you
got
were
better.
better. Like
Oh
I think it's all
no,
kind
I
of,
don't know when I got
yeah.
better, but I know when I got sick. But
And
that's
that's,
not important.
yeah. So I don't know. What was the question?
When did you know that you couldn't fix me, or that there was nothing you could do or say that was going to change my choices?
I didn't. I think I realized, and this is going to make me sound way better than I am,
I doubt it. You're so good.
but I realized that it couldn't be fixed that way. It couldn't be fixed by being angry.
Mhm.
All I was in control of was myself. And that was extremely hard. So, like, to paint a picture, when we were in Edmonton in this little apartment,
Yeah.
I would get up at 4 a.m. and go drive an hour and a half to work in like minus 20 Celsius cold building, being apprentice for electrician. Then I come home and I go to work out with my brother, John, at the college there.
Mhm.
And we didn't have a lot of food. We didn't have a lot of money.
We
And
had no money and
no
as
money.
little food as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. So then, and I think that's what you kind of attributed to. Like, it was just like a handy way to say, well, we can't afford
Yeah.
food, so I'm not going to eat. And we're saving money. But
Which
then,
was convenient.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then I'd come home and you'd be home, but you'd be studying, you'd be
Mhm.
tired.
Mhm.
So we literally never see each other. And you'd wake up, go for 2 hours on elliptical, and then do work. And that's something I admire in you, is your ambition. But
That's that gray line though between
yeah,
like ambition and obsession,
yeah.
or
So any
dedication and
passion,
obsession.
and this is, any passion can become an obsession,
Yeah.
right? There is a very fine line. And that's what made this so difficult as a husband too, to say, this is a good thing. Like, physical activity is good
Mm-hmm.
and it's praised,
Yeah.
right? It's praised to work out all the time in a certain community, but it didn't feel right. And it started to, so it's a very hard thing to say, this isn't okay anymore.
Yeah. But I think, well, you got to a point where we both knew it wasn't okay, when like I physically and mentally could not go through a day without exercise, without having like a major panic attack or manipulating you into letting me do something.
Yeah. So I remember the one day, so I love going out for like brunch and experiencing things. And we didn't do
Matt
that at
loves
all.
food, and here's Jilisa just shutting you down left,
So I
right, and
remember one
center.
Sunday, I was like, hey, can we like sleep in, not work out,
Oh
and go
yeah.
get brunch? And you broke down
Oh,
like
I had like
crazy.
a full on, like a child throwing a tantrum. I will never forget that. That was like in my head. That was like one of the days I knew, it was like, whoa, what is wrong with me? But that didn't stop me. Like I wasn't okay. Or I still was like, I know this isn't okay, but I can't live without this. And so screw you and wanting to go for one brunch in our whole marriage.
Yeah. And I think it's just like anything else. It took a long time to build this wall for you,
Yeah.
right? It took a year and 4 or 5 years. And it's almost like you had to remove this wall brick by brick. Like, you're
Mhm.
getting closer to being better. And that's a frustrating thing too, is because from my perspective, I'm like, just eat food,
Yeah.
don't exercise as much, and you'll be much happier. You won't be as sad, and we'll have a lot of fun, and we can go have waffles.
Well, yeah, and I get that now of like it seems so easy to just be like, hey, just like sleep in, or like just don't work out today. Or like now that I see it as a coach, like when I coach clients in nutrition, which is ironic, whatever, that's for a later story. But it's like, seems to me like the simplest things, like, hey, just eat your vegetables. But it's like there's something missing between like the simple fact of doing it and actually doing it. And like my clients are all great, but I have like witnessed that where it's like, I know that this is what I'm supposed to do and I know that this is the right thing to do, but I just like cannot do it no matter what I say or do or try. And there's like a missing piece between knowing what's right and actually being able to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think something we don't talk about enough is 100% God. Like, there's no way we'll be able to do that without our faith.
You mean the getting better part?
Yes. And making it through as a couple.
Yeah, that was all you because I was pretending.
Right.
Yeah.
Pretending to
Have a relationship with God.
Mhm.
I actually like distinctly remember praying, like, please do not take this away from me because I'm not ready to give it up. And I prayed that for a long time of like, help me do good in school and give me a good job and all these things. But heaven forbid, don't you dare touch my eating disorder because that's mine and I don't want you to have any part of it. And I like very distinctly remember like having those thoughts and leaving that. Like that was like the part in my head where it's like, I'd pray, but then I'd be like, oh, and P.S., don't you dare think about making me better because I'm just perfectly fine the way I am.
Because as if we know better, right? I
Well,
got this.
I was positive I knew what to do there. Yeah, that was fine. But okay, what was the hardest part for you?
Feeling like I was crazy. Honestly, like I felt at times that
What made you feel like you were crazy?
I was the only one seeing this. That I could see it. And well, the first time was when I came home, and like in 2 months you had probably lost. Don't say that.
No, it's not important.
Not important. Is that trigger for people?
Yes.
See?
Don't talk about numbers.
Still learning. Okay. Lost a significant amount of weight and looked vastly different.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like I started to feel like I was in Bizarro World. I don't know. Like that's a Seinfeld episode. It's like I saw something and no one else saw it. Right. And so then I would always play mind games and saying, well, is it me? Like, am I just seeing things? Am I being too much? Like, I
think the hardest thing too there was like, so everybody else saw me like at least weekly. And I was so convincing of like, oh, it's just because
you're good
we're
at,
going to the beach for our wedding and I'm just stressed at school and this is normal.
and that's because
It's
that's
super
normal too.
fine.
That's normalized.
Right. I was doing what I was supposed to do in terms of in accordance or according to the world. I was nailing it.
Yes.
Yeah. So the hardest part for you was feeling like you were crazy.
Well, and also we went to,
Oh,
not a psychologist,
I
but
don't even want to talk about that. That
a
was bad.
counselor.
Yeah, something.
Well, and then we're in there and I'm talking about the stuff and they didn't talk, this person didn't talk about, and I've forgiven them, I should say that. But it was really hard for me because I felt like, again, it just solidified that maybe I'm wrong. And there was no talking about this disorder, no talking about this elephant in the room, and just asking about questions that had nothing to do with this.
Well, they were just convinced that I was like depressed or something.
Which that would have been associated with that too, right?
Or yeah, like that would have just been like, or my weight loss was like a side effect of depression.
Which came first, the chicken or the egg?
Yes. I was not depressed. In my opinion. Anyways, yeah, that was a challenging situation. And also
And
That
sorry,
does not mean that I don't think that people should get counseling or psychological
yeah,
help. We just had a bad experience.
yeah, and I also think that what's that? I'm going to continue on here.
Keep going.
Well, we can just splice this out. Okay, so we spliced that out, but Jilisa had to run and grab the front door.
Yeah, I forgot something.
Podcasting in her house. Spoiler. So the other thing I want to touch on about what was the hardest thing is, and also feeling like I was crazy or seeing things or hearing things that weren't real, was that manipulation piece again.
Yeah.
Is standing right in front of you and you saying things to me, and then I have no clue. And I think that's what, like, deceit is one of the, I think, can be one of the most damaging. I don't know if that's because I was really close to it, but because literally it's my word against yours. And you wanted so badly this thing, like willing to basically pray that it wouldn't be taken away, that you want it forever.
Yep.
That, so then I'm with that, not with that perspective. I didn't know that, but I'm sending across to you and I have no clue if you're being honest with me. So that what kind of transcends into different aspects of relationship, right? And you start to second guess a lot of different things.
Well, and I think like if we're being real, since it's what we said we would be, I think that's the part that we struggle with still is like when we have arguments or when things come up, and this is obviously
We
like
never argue.
no, we're perfect. When things come up, it's essentially your word against mine, but I took advantage or manipulated that for so many years and so often that now it's like, are you telling the truth? And I don't fault you for that because for so many years I wasn't. So that takes a long time to build back.
Yeah. And that's the hard part, like we're talking about from the spouse's perspective, because that's not my right to hold on to. I shouldn't hold that against you, but it also is in my mind. So sometimes it's like you're trapped because even if the reason, one of the big reasons is that it can be so damaging is if the person says they're being honest, they could be being dishonest. Or the person says, hey, I'm better. Well, is that true?
Right.
Like, are you better or are you sneaking off and working out? Or like, and this sounds dramatic. But it's true. Like these things play through the person's head because this thing was used as a really impactful weapon.
So true that we had this conversation yesterday where I was gone for a long time and I'd stopped at the gym to pick something up, and what went through your head?
Yeah. And
No, what went through your head?
no, and I want to preface it by saying, so the reason also that was so hard for me is because we talk about love languages, and mine is quality time. So one of my, like, predominantly quality time, words of affirmation. So when I feel like someone takes advantage of my time, it seems like it's a shot to the gut for me. So yesterday, feeling like that would have been felt like still at moments I have thoughts and like, well, is she being honest with me?
So your thought was that I wasn't running errands, but that I went to the gym to work out without you. Yeah.
Yep.
And of course that made me mad because in my head it's like, I've been better for so long. How could you still think that? But I was slightly nicer than that when I said that. And for the record, I wasn't working out. I really was running errands.
No, and that's the thing too, is that's the hard part. Because again, working out is great. And you should be able to work out when you want. It's just always in the back of my head. When you feel like you've been manipulated and deceived and taken advantage of, that's the big one. And especially when we talk about quality time, right? Like going back to me wanting just one Sunday with brunch, like that makes me feel loved. So we're going to do a whole podcast on 5 love languages. So you talk about the 5 love languages. When you're not getting this thing, it makes the person feel unloved.
Yes. And question other things.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, that's still a struggle. And that's okay. And it's okay because we can talk about it now and because we're still willing to work through it.
And I think that's the important thing too is, so from your mindset, you want this to be done. You want it to be so far in the past, but there's still aspects that have nothing to do with the fitness or the exercise addiction, eating disorder that have everything to do with us because it's group trauma. Like it's trauma in a relationship, and there has to be group healing in that too, right?
I've never heard of that before. Group trauma.
Don't quote me on that. I'm pretty sure I just made that up.
It sounds like a thing. I'm sure.
Well,
Are two people considered a group?
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
when two people go through something, there's probably going to have to be healing together
Yeah.
on it. Like we can heal individually and we can seek help from counselors or mentors or things like that outside. But we also you have to then heal as the whole. Let me use that word instead of group, the whole, because as a married couple,
Yeah.
you are one.
Right. And I think that's where like it's easy for me to get frustrated because I feel like I put all this work into like physically and mentally get healthy. Why is everything not better? Or like how are you still struggling with that? Clearly I'm better, so why are you not better? And that's only something that like we've recently kind of been able to talk about and uncover, which like I just like assumed that once I was better, you'd be better because everything revolves around me, right?
Right. And this is the hard part too, is because I think that's where we get caught up or people get caught up. It's that I did this wrong, so I'm going to do this right and it makes up for it. Everything's washed away. No, that's the whole idea of love, right? Like you shouldn't have to say unconditional because the definition of love is unconditional, to do something without expecting anything. Yeah. So to be to be last, so the other person could be first. And if both people do that in a relationship, and I'm staring off the distance because I have to do this when I think or I have to close my eyes, but that's the whole basis around it. It's not, if you do this for me, this many tasks, then I'll feel loved.
Yeah. And that's 100% how I think is like,
right.
I've been healthy for this many years or for this many months, or I've missed this many workouts or shown you this many times I don't have to work out every day. How is this not enough that you are still struggling with this? And so it's so easy for me to get, in case you didn't know this, it's so easy for me to get frustrated with you when you're not just like, oh yeah, it's better. I feel good. Because that's not actually how it goes.
Right. And then that goes back to the whole love thing. Like if we're doing things just to not have this thing in our life anymore, that's not love. Right? That's essentially trying boxes. You're checking boxes in order so that it doesn't bug. I'm checking this box so it doesn't bug me anymore. Instead of looking at the other person in the relationship and saying, how do I help them heal? How do I love them consistently despite what's good or bad?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so this might be a really challenging question, but what advice would you give other spouses or family members of someone who suffers with anorexia or exercise addiction or eating disorder of XYZ?
I don't know if I can give any more advice other than my own personal experience. I think it's always a good option to seek professional help, but also make sure they're vetted.
Yeah.
That they have helped people through this before. Because just because someone has credentials, just because someone has a certificate or a diploma on the wall doesn't mean. So basically what I'm saying is you don't have to be apprehensive about everyone, but critically think and do your due diligence and research them.
If I can add to that, if it is something of this nature, they should have a specialty in eating disorder counseling or addiction counseling because it's very different than just whatever else, like general therapy, I think.
And you know what?
Yeah.
Is a powerful combination. Someone who's highly educated and has also been through it too.
Yes.
So my advice is, I don't know. I think I can't help but think anything other than biblical.
Yeah.
Like to love regardless. To be that person you know, to try to replicate Christ's love, to try to embody what that means. And that's extremely hard. And again, I probably got that right 1% of the time.
Maybe 2.
But even I think that's such a powerful thing. Even if you get it right 2% of the time, that still makes a difference. And 2% done consistently is going to equal a lot over time. And I think that's where it comes in, is the patience, and also knowing that I didn't, like, our vows had nothing to do with, I'm only going to stick by you, I'm only going to love you if it's good.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I think it also has been an extreme blessing, because what's like, that's an
Yeah, we're
extreme.
not there yet. That's at the end. We gotta talk about that.
She said she's running the show.
I'm
So
running the show.
so patience, love,
Yeah.
and, but then also, I think sometimes we go too far the other way, and not speaking truth either. Like, there was times I'm like sometimes I didn't tiptoe around. I was like, Jilisa, you're sick.
Yeah.
Like, I maybe didn't say it exactly like that, but something's not right here. And that's hard. But you know what? I would way rather say that and have you be mad at me for a really long time than you die.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think I would have said, like, so from my perspective of you as my spouse, I would say,
Inception.
yeah. If if there had been like a moment of doubt, or like even for a second when I thought you were going to give up on me, or when I felt like you didn't care anymore, I probably would have just like taken so much advantage of that. Or like my eating disorder voice would have been like, he doesn't care about you. We might as well just
Do
finish
more of
this
this.
off. Yeah. But I think it hurt me to know that I was hurting you despite the fact that I still chose to do it for so long, or I still couldn't overcome it for so long. So I think just the fact that you were so patient and continuously showed me grace, even though I didn't really deserve it. Like, yeah, having that steadfast love was great, even if you didn't say smart things to me sometimes. I knew that you loved me, and that was important.
And I also want to say something too, is to those who are maybe struggling, maybe they're not the spouse. You're still a value. You're still loved.
Oh.
You gotta keep talking.
Sorry.
Dang it. Okay, keep going. Shoot. Episode 2.
I can't not cry when you're crying. When I told Matt, I was like, this is what we're going to talk about today. He's like, I don't want to cry today. I didn't actually think you would.
I have to get actor face on now. But
just pinch yourself really hard. It works every time.
No, I need to talk about it as more like tactile. So I've used this in a business I've created for purpose and identity. I think, and this stems further than just addictions. It goes into the athletic realm. It goes into our jobs. It's basically, we try to find significance out of something because we don't know our value in who we've been created to be. We don't know our value outside these things. And that's what I observed. That's what I saw. And I went through that. I saw a lot of athletes go through that too, right? Once their athletic careers are done, there's depression, there's this loss aspect, because we've been groomed to think that we are these things. Like, we've been praised over and over and over. And you were praised for losing this weight and for looking this way, right? And that just justified in your head, like, I'm significant now.
Yeah.
I don't want to let go of this. So that's to say, you have value despite what you have done or haven't done.
Yep. That's really good.
Yep. No more crying, please.
No, I'm we're through the emotional questions. Okay. Okay, so now that I'm healthy,
Yes.
yes, hooray. Um what's it like running a gym and having me being a part of like the coaching staff, and as someone who still loves to exercise and compete? Um
There's a few
knowing that
questions
that
in
was
there.
something that once was an idol. How's that go for you?
Which one first?
Okay. Um yeah, what's it like owning a gym that I'm a part of, knowing that that was something that once took me away from you?
Well, I can think of it. Well,
Go on.
thinking of it from like a business aspect, the gym would not be where it was without you.
Is
Is it would not be where it is without you.
thanks.
The new nutrition program would be not where it is without you. We would not have impact as many people as we have without you.
I didn't actually mean for this to be like a tell me how good I am moment.
Oh, I know.
Okay, good.
But I think that's important to say. And I think, honestly, if we're talking about everything in context, that has probably been the easiest thing. Like what you say, the hardest thing is the trust aspect and the not always knowing 100% of my head. Like, I think for me, it's probably just more so what every other couple probably struggles with, being um, business owners and having the person work together.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah. And that's like, I think, so to answer the question,
Yeah.
it can be difficult to see you around something consistently every single day that almost took your life.
Mhm.
But then again, it's not the thing that took your life, right?
Right.
It's exercise isn't bad. Money isn't bad. There's no intrinsic value to them.
Yep.
Right? People have value.
Right.
It's what we do with them. Right. So that's the thing is, for me, it was never about the exercise. It's the person you became because of this thing that took control over you. It's who you were and who you weren't to me because of this thing. So, as a spouse or a family member to someone like that, that's honestly more so what it is. It's this. This is the modality. This is the thing that changed them. I'm not mad at exercise. I'm not scared of exercise. I'm not scared of nutrition. I'm scared of it gaining control, if that makes sense.
Yep. I think it does. Do you still have fear of that? Because I don't know if you know this about me, but I like to try really hard at things. Do you still have fear that it would ever take over?
Yep, I do. And I think that's not unreasonable too. And that's where I get caught in between, because I want to be the 100% supportive spouse, rah, rah, do everything all the time.
Rah, rah.
But then there's always in the back of my mind, like, if this thing happened again, right?
Would you
Like,
be responsible for pushing
would
me
I be
into it?
responsible? Like, yeah, that would be enabling. Yes, that's a whole other topic. There is, did I enable you to go back into this thing that almost took your life? And if you went into this thing again after everything we've been through and you've seen it and it happened again, I don't, it'd be very hard for me to see you come out of it, because you saw the debris behind, for lack of better terms. Right. So that's where, and for me, I have to pray through it. I have to talk through it, and we're opening up lines of communication to each other on that too, where I feel I have the ability to be vulnerable and say, hey, this scares me, or this scared me. I want to be supportive, but you have to know how this makes me feel. Because the other thing too is the hard part is for you'll see everyone else, right? You'll see other couples. You'll see one of the couple or people in the relationship doing something and the spouse 100% supportive, worry-free, right? And
then I think, why can't you be like that?
Right. And then I'll be there and say, I want to be like that, but it's really hard.
Yeah.
So, and that's another thing too, is what are your priorities? And I'm not talking to you, Jilisa, what are your priorities?
Well, Matt, let me tell you.
No, so this is what I like to work with people with. You have to write your priorities down. They can't be willy-nilly. Yeah. You can't just say, this is important to me. And then if someone from the outside saw you, they would have never guessed that. Right. So to write your priorities down, and for us, our non-negotiables are our faith and our family. Right. Or each other. Right. So that's what we've committed to. And that's what we see of absolute value in this lifetime. So if we have really limited time and energy,
which we're quite convinced we do.
Yes. Really limited time and energy, then our life, our actions, our words have to embody that. They have to be an example. Yeah, they have to reflect that. Yeah. They have to, it's not good enough to say, hey, I value you, but then I'm going to go do this. I'm going to work for 20 hours a day. And this is more just speaking broadly, not to you.
Well, that's accurate.
Work 20 hours a day, but I still really care about you and you are the most important thing. Well, false.
Yeah. Yes.
That was a rabbit trail.
Yeah, a little bit, but that's okay. I think we got to the point of just like, there's a difference between supporting me in something that is healthy, even if I want to be competitive about it, versus enabling me into something that could be obsessive.
Yep. And when it comes down to it, simplest thing is the way I had to be there for you through it is the way I have to be there for you now. Meaning I have to trust that you know these things and you can do these things and still see us first, or still see your faith first, still see these things first. Because as soon as I try to control that, then that's not love. That's not a relationship, right? It's your life. Your life is yours. Your life is yours to, I guess,
mess up if I want it.
To throw it away or not, right? And that is why marriage is so hard.
No.
Sorry.
It's easy.
Yeah. Marriage can be very hard.
It is hard.
And we should also
pretending.
say that we do really enjoy each other. We do have.
Yeah. We do.
Oh, no, I thought you were being sarcastic.
No, we do. It just it is hard, but it is also good. And I think it will keep getting better. Particularly if we don't have to be stuck in the same house for the foreseeable future together. But all things considered, I would say we do pretty good.
Yeah. And so I don't know if you guys will see our personalities come out. So Jilisa just wanted you guys to tell her that we're winning.
No, I don't think we're winning. Well, yeah.
No, that isn't, we're learning more and more. This has been a blessing, like honestly, in that way, this time is learning how we're so different, right? Like,
yeah. And that makes our marriage way better because I feel like, okay, we've been married 9 years now and we are only like just scratching the surface of understanding one another, which is like, okay, probably we didn't do a good job of communicating in the beginning, but hey, better late than never. And now it's like, okay, I understand you. And also we have to get to spend a lot of time together. And so it's like a lot of practice.
And that's the thing too. It's not a destination.
Correct.
It's the journey, right? And if as soon as we get stuck in thinking that we've made it and we're 100% happy,
Mhm.
that's when our guards down, like for lack of a better term, our guards down and we become complacent.
Yeah.
But just like anything else in our life, you have to continually put time and energy into it. I have to invest daily into you as a husband. I have to,
I'm the wife.
as in, I'm the husband. I need to
Oh,
invest in
okay.
you
Yeah,
daily.
yeah.
Yeah.
As the
But
husband.
thank you for the clarification.
Gotcha.
Um, it's not like, okay, I did it. We made it there.
That's what I feel like.
Yes. Right. So it's not that.
I give you a compliment. Nailed it for the day. See
You
you
should be
later.
good.
Good to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of those principles that go across many different modalities or domains is it's continuous. It's every single day. Every single day. You can't rest on what you did yesterday, right? Whether it was a bad day, whether it was a win or a loss, because I know you probably like those terms.
Correct.
Whether it was a win or a loss, today's a new day. You can't say, hey, I was fantastic yesterday. I'm going to take the day off.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a thing.
Yeah.
Or it shouldn't be a thing.
Yeah, that's true.
But then again, in saying that, if you build up enough, if you invest lots and lots, it gives you more, not to say to mess up, it gives more trust. It gives more
room for error.
Yeah.
Okay. So, last question. Just because I think it's important to share this too. We have some sort of, like, I will call them safeguards to ensure that I'm still in a healthy place the majority of the time. Correct?
So
Just
I'll
say
say
yes.
yes. I
I'm
need to
going to
say
tell you what they are.
I don't like surprise podcasts, but continue.
It's not a surprise. I'm just saying that, like,
Yes.
I preach about being better and recovered and how great it is, but I don't want people to think that that doesn't mean that I don't have those thoughts still, because I think that's always going to be a part of me, which could be scary, except that I don't ever feel scared about it because I know that. Well, I'm just not. Anyways, so the things that I do to ensure it's like a mental checklist to know, like, yeah, I'm still doing okay, are things like, I know that I have to be okay with taking days off during the week. Sometimes that's 1 day, sometimes that's 4 days, and, like, 4 days is really uncomfortable for me, but I can do it without, like, having a panic attack. Um, and so, like, yeah, in terms of exercise, also having a variety of exercise, so being able to, like, just go biking or not doing, like, a really intense workout every day and being okay with that and not feeling like I didn't earn my food or something like that. Like, those conversations don't happen in my head anymore. And then in terms of food, I make pizza every week.
So
I
good.
feel like that's
So
just
good.
like a celebration of the yeah.
I'm surprised I got the right one.
Yeah, I was like, that's good. You have it memorized. That's just like, to me, it feels like every time I make pizza, it's like a celebration of my own health because it's like never
I
in
like
a
that.
trillion years when I was sick would I like, if you told me that every Friday I would look forward to making my own pizza, I would have, like, just, I don't know, something bad
Just
would happen. Because I once tried to make cauliflower pizza and that was the worst thing I've ever done. So, yeah, I don't know, just like being able to know that I can create food and not think about, like, the calories that are in it, or if I had to work out, and, like, even on days that I don't work out, still being able to have that food and, like, that being my choice, and it not just being like, well, I have to eat this because someone else is serving it to me. It's like, no, I'm actually choosing to make this for us to eat. And that is like, I, to me, that is like one of the biggest, yeah, I don't know what other word to use other than like the biggest celebration of my own health. every week that we do that. So,
And I'm not disappointed either.
yay for me and you.
Yes.
And Duke. Oh my gosh. Duke ate a whole pizza on us once. We left it on the counter because he's never once got up on the counter. I guess it was half the pizza. And he went up there and he ate the whole pizza. And now every time we have pizza or even like a slice of bread, he is obsessed. So,
Yep.
he's a true Chouinard, but that's that story. So, I just wanted to finish with that to say that, like, yeah, we talked about hard things, but like life is so good for me now and most of the time for us. And it's getting better.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like pizza.
And it's never going to be perfect.
No.
Don't get caught in perfection.
No. So that's episode 2.
Yeah.
And
I can close it out here. So you'll find in the show links, you can follow Jilisa. She's sharing her story more and more with my loving nudges.
I would call them shoves.
Loving shoves, because people need this. So this is where I'm going next, is the purpose shift. I'm plugging that in here because I think our stories can be gifts to others. Because I know you can talk about this, Jilisa can talk about this way differently than someone who hasn't gone through it. That doesn't mean she can give advice how to do it, but she can share her story. And if one seed is planted in someone's mind, that later comes back and helps them. Like there was someone in our gym that I just had on a podcast that talked about that. So in the show notes, if you want to learn more about the purpose shift, it's basically helping people pursue their passions, live more purpose-driven lives, and share their gifts, because we have individual gifts and talents in the way of stories, the way of hardships, the good, the bad of our journey, and just different individual gifts and talents. Like Jilisa is really gifted in places that I'm not, that take my energy away. So in the show links on YouTube or whatever podcast platform you're listening to, that was my podcasting voice.
Good job.
This is fun.
This was good. Thanks for being a good sport about it, even though you didn't know what I was going to make you talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for mostly thanks for letting me run the show, because I felt really good about it.
It was great.
Thanks.